So YouTube wants to implement some new sort of defense mechanism where when people post comments, they have to give a little more information about themselves rather than the initial information that they gave when they signed up for YouTube. Possibly their real name, something else, to try to get people to not post negative comments. Which is really what this comes down to. It's not about offensive content, because to what degree is offensive? What is offensive to me, for example, would not be offensive to you, or vice versa. Nothing really offends me. The only thing that offends me is moderators and the apologies for moderators, which by extension would be most of the internet, because isn't it ironic how you all claim to value freedom of speech, and you all claim to say that you're saying what you're thinking, and you need to have a counter argument and all this other shit, but you let moderators tell you what to do. You let moderators dictate the course of discussion, but then you want to talk about all these other things like you're some kind of intellectual. You will never be an intellectual so long as someone else is dictating to you what you can think and say. So this is what that comes down to. And the fact is, YouTube is not content with already having this draconian system where at the drop of a hat you can block somebody. I mean, isn't that enough? You're already blocking somebody. Is YouTube going to punish people for wrongfully blocking you? I sincerely doubt it. But then, not only on top of being blocked you have to worry about, but then YouTube has already blocked hundreds of thousands of people, and then on top of that they want to do this too. It's all about conditioning people to not be able to have an opinion. It's conditioning people to be used to the idea that they don't get to decide for themselves right and wrong, and that they don't get to think for themselves, and that somebody else knows better than them. And what are you going to do about that? Are you just going to accept that? That's why the anarchist guy that I've been arguing with lately doesn't seem to quite understand the cynicism behind it, but it's true. It's not like I'm just making this shit up. People like to be controlled. If you didn't like to be controlled, then you would have been fighting this long before me. You would have been upset about this long before I even am making this video. But you want to be controlled. And if you want to be controlled, then at the very least it should be a benevolent force controlling you. It should be a benevolent force that knows the implications of tyranny and does have no desire to be tyrannical. And while that might seem idealistic, while that might seem like, it sounds good on paper, but in practice it could lead to just as much corruption, what other choice do you have? Look at the people around you. There is just not enough people awake to go about this issue as though we were all self-enlightened. It's just we're powerless right now. That's not the issue here. Yes, we are powerless, but the main issue here is people want to be powerless. How do you get them out of that innate desire to want to be powerless, to want to be stepped all over? That is what I'm talking about here. And nobody seems to have an answer to that. Nobody has a straight answer to how you transition people from being submissive, docile freaks that like to be controlled and pushed around to people that are self-sufficient and have some sense of dignity, and from there can move on to being actually independent because then they have their own individual power. So, it's not even a crossroads at this point. It's just simply the fact that you are nothing and you want to be nothing. So I don't even know how to go further into this other than it gets worse. Because another thing that people love to bring up is how even if I take it to the Supreme Court about how this is an invasion of privacy, this is an erosion of freedom of speech, it is a conspiracy, it is fraud, it is harassment, it is all these things. Even if I could manage to bring that to the Supreme Court, many people say, the internet isn't wholly American. Well, no shit, but guess what's American? Google Enterprises takes place in America. YouTube company is in America. Facebook company is in America. Most of these large website institutions are American. Most moderators that I have encountered are American. This is not to say all of them are, but a large portion of them are, and if you can get rid of even 40% of the problem, then the rest will solve itself. if all these little moderator companies are still around, yes, that would still be bad. But we would make a huge step in progress if these huge institutions were held accountable. Let's face it, without Google, Facebook, YouTube, and all these other big moderators, you wouldn't have to worry so much about the little moderators who all their websites are connected to these big three anyway. You can't go anywhere online without a Google Plus or Facebook or YouTube app being somewhere on the dialogue. Even your fucking cell phone now has buttons to connect you to these websites. That's a monopoly. That's a monopoly not only on the very institution of which they do, but it's a monopoly on your mind. It's a monopoly on the media. It's a monopoly on the very thought process that goes into rationalizing an argument and communicating with other people. You want to fucking talk about Fox News? If Fox News was as bad as Facebook or Google, you would not be able to do anything without Fox News having something to do with it. You would not be able to fucking text your girlfriend without Fox News logo being somewhere on your fucking phone while you do it. Fox News would be directly involved in the texting process because they own those satellites or whatever that send the signal to communicate with your girlfriend. And if Fox News finds out that you're a Democrat, fuck you. You have chances are you'll get banned. And what? We're just supposed to deal with that because if it's Fox News' company, so they can do what they want to. No! Some things are just more important. Your dignity, for example. Your freedom of speech, for example. Your freedom to not be invaded. Then again, most Americans are for the invasion of foreign countries. So it's not surprising that they don't mind people just coming in goose steps with assault rifles to gun down innocent brown people. So why are we shocked that they're doing it to their own citizens too? And you know, I don't even know what else to say here. You have to see how bad this is getting. You can't possibly be this stupid. There is no way you can undermine, you can lessen the severity of what is going on other than you like it. You have to enjoy it. There is no way you could just say, well, it's bad, but it's not that bad. No, it's that fucking bad. When only one company owns the entire sector of the online community and is pretty much controlling the entire multitude of medium, that's pretty bad. And unlike the state, which you worry so much about me as a communist advocating, private enterprise has no regulation. Private enterprise has no checks and balances. There is no Senate and House floor to go to impose a law upon said company. And you could argue that once the state is corrupt, there's nothing you could do about that either. But the state is built upon the people, whether or not they are dictatorial, whether or not they are authoritarian. At the end of the day, they require the consent of the people, and a large amount of people, not just some of the people. That's the problem with private enterprise. That's the problem with the internet right now. It's not that everybody's consenting to the way it is, but some people are, and that's just enough. It's just enough that a few people are too stupid to know what's good for them. It's just enough that a few people are perfectly content with the control, and then the rest of us have to pay for those mistakes. The rest of us have to pay with our freedom for the mistakes and evils of a few dumbasses. And that's wrong. And, you know, what are you so worried about? You always say, oh, well, you know, if there was no moderators, there'd be spam everywhere. So fucking what? And spam is the result of capitalism. So for you all defending capitalism, oh, it's the best form of government we have, it's better than communism. Why the fuck are you bitching about spam? Spam is the free market. Spam is someone just trying to make money his own way. And meanwhile, that's not good enough for Mr. Capitalist over here. But then you can condemn me too. You want to be controlled. That's all there is to it. You're not worried about the spam. You're not worried about the negative comments. You just like control. And if you like control that fucking much, then maybe we, the smart people, deserve to control you. Because the way I look at it is this. You're going to be controlled either which way. You love it, you want it to jizz all over your face. Fine. But then it should be the benevolent vanguard that controls you. That way, we can improve the world, and at the same time, you can be content sitting on your ass, getting the jizz on your face that you're controlled. Everybody wins. That's the way I look at it. I'm not going to worry about whether or not it's the democratic thing to do. I'm not going to worry about whether or not it's the, goody two-shoe, squeaky clean image thing to do. The fact is, we live in a very dark and dreary world. We live in a world of pure evil, pure stupidity, and pure destruction. It's amazing we're all alive right now, because frankly, we should all be dead. Not simply because of our own actions and our own beliefs that are just cancerous, but the fact that we've invented all this arcane technology that could have just blown up the planet a long time ago, and yet hasn't. We're still here, luckily. And despite all that, you're still worrying about fucking communism and state control. You would be so lucky as to live under a totalitarian state. You're not that lucky, and it gets worse. So that's really all I need to say here, is the fact that if you are willing to stand idly by as more and more of your rights are taken away, I don't want to fucking hear it about how I'm a communist and that makes me a hypocrite somehow, and about how I just want to be like Stalin and all this other shit. Because you know what? I wish to God I lived under Stalin. Stalin would not have put up with this shit. Stalin would not have put up with Google dictating the course of human evolution. Stalin would not have put up with a private website dictating what was and wasn't acceptable behavior. Yes, maybe Stalin himself would have dictated what was and wasn't acceptable behavior, but I guarantee you that the leniency would have been far superior. As long as I didn't say shit about Mother Russia, Stalin would not have had a problem with what I was typing out. But Google has a problem with me typing out anything that's anti-gay, anything that's anti-Christian, even though Christians and gays don't get along very well, anything that's anti-racial minority, anything that's anti-this, anti-that, blah, 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 or just the accusation thereof. I don't even have to be any of those things, and just enough people could bitch and whine, he was those things, I'm gonna just flag him randomly, and because they don't give a shit about me as an individual, they just presume that that's what happened, because they're not going to bother to actually read the content and contemplate the content, because let's face it, they wouldn't have enough time for that. But if you don't have enough time for that, then don't fucking do it. It's not your role in life to control other people if you do not have the time to take out of your day to control people on equal terms and equal punishment. But all of that is alluded to you because you like the fact people can get raped at the drop of a hat. You're rapists, as Femitheus said. It's a man thing. You notice you don't see women as passionately defending moderators. Not to say that women can't be moderators or that women can't apologize for moderators, but it's typically a man thing. Men, by their nature, are rapists and violent people. And if you believe otherwise, then please, by all means, prove me wrong. Join the Allies of Darkness. Start your own thing against moderators. Petition. Wake people up. Do something. But otherwise, I'm just going to keep saying it. And I'm going to believe it wholeheartedly because you have not done anything to prove me otherwise. So, I guess that's it.